Monday the 29th of June, there was a demonstration outside of the Dominican Republic tourist board in London in protest and demonstration about the Haitians that are actually born in the Dominican Republic who are under threat of mass deportation. According to the United Nations, over 200,000 people who have been living in the Dominican Republic are going to be made stateless as a result of the ruling that happened in September 2013 in the Constitutional Courts.
Since 1929, we have had a mixed system for nationality, jus soli and jus sanguinis. If you want to take advantage of jus soli, at least one parent needs to be a regular migrant. Many of those affected their parents didn't have the documents. As a result, they couldn't declare the children. Now this has been resolved. Those who still lack documents are getting them in here and are welcome to come back if they want. Okay? These are the facts.
By the 30th of September, only 200 of the 68,814 people who had actually applied for citizenship had had their citizenship applications regularized.
Those who didn't have time to get their documents are leaving voluntarily, and nothing prevents them from returning once they have their documents. This is the official information of the Dominican Republic. 75% of those who didn't have the documents when the program started about a year and a half ago, 75% have gotten their documents, including those children that were at risk of losing their nationality because of administrative error. 57,000 children got their Dominican nationality confirmed.
There was a decree launched under the National Regularization Plan that actually banned the deportation of migrants.
Is racialized attacks taking place within the Dominican Republic. We know that people of a darker complexion, particularly those of Haitian heritage, within the Dominican Republic are greatly oppressed. They're the people who occupy the lowest strata within that society. And they're also subject to racial violence, which is particularly worrying, of course, in somewhere where they're also being targeted by the state. And so I guess it's kind of unsurprising that in a climate in which the Dominican Republic state is targeting Haitian people, that they would turn a blind eye to the kind of racial atrocities that we've seen taking place in this country for a very long time.
The law established to regularize Dominican Republic nationality, but its impact, according to the United Nations, could potentially bring about or trigger a humanitarian crisis. To send back hundreds of thousands of people back to Haiti without any resources or anything.
We're not sending anybody. They are leaving. They are leaving voluntarily.
The United Nations are claiming that they are being expelled. However, this position is hotly being contradicted and refuted by the Dominican Republic High Commissioner.
Whatever they're saying for a reason, and that is something that we need to explore together.
The Dominican High Commissioner was also asked to tell us about the claims and accusations about violence that's been directed at the Haitians in the Dominican Republic. Claims of violence which he also hotly denied.
So you're saying now that Haitians aren't being just targeted and killed?
No.
So you're saying
they have never been killed in a democratic government in the Dominican Republic. Never.
If this process has been initiated to benefit Haitians, why are so many Haitians confused? Why are so many human rights groups condemning it? Why are so many nations, including the UN, who we have our dubious concerns about? Why have so many people come out against it if you're saying this is done for the benefit of the immigrants?
Why are international organizations saying this? Let's ask them together. Let's bring them to the embassy. Let's bring Amnesty International to the embassy. Let's talk with them. Because the evidence they're presenting has no base whatsoever when you look at the facts in the ground of what we've done. Okay?
In his defense, he actually called for a meeting between the United Nations and the Dominican Republic in London so that they can actually thrash out their differences regarding the vast discrepancy of what's actually happening in the Dominican Republic against the Haitian community.
They are leaving voluntarily. Nobody's forcing anybody to leave.
So why would they voluntarily go back to
So if people contact us to say they are being forced to leave, we can put them directly in touch with you?
It is an unfortunate statement to make because it's not true. They are not leaving, they are not being forced to leave. They are leaving to get their documents, and when they get their documents, they can always come back.
What I will say is that according to the United Nations, according to independent human rights organisations, and according to Haitians, people of Haitian heritage on the ground themselves, that is not the case at all. And so I find it quite difficult to believe the Dominican Republic states when it says one thing and the United Nations and people of Haitian heritage are actually saying a very different thing. I think it's in the interests of the Dominican Republic to play down the likely humanitarian crisis which is imminent if their policy is implemented, and I think therefore it's far more likely that what the United Nations are saying, what people of Haitian heritage are saying, is far more accurate.
What would your advice be, and what would your recommendation be should you find that statistically it's not 75% that have already got their documentation, but it's more like 20% have got their documentation?
No. I believe my president, he just gave a speech presenting the official figures on the basis of the report of the Minister of the Interior. And all those lists of people benefiting are published in the newspapers and are available in the websites. We are resolving the problems for all the Haitians in Dominican Republic. Those who are leaving are getting their documents and will return and will be welcome when they have their documents. We're not expelling Haitians. Haitians are very hardworking. We appreciate their contribution to the Dominican economy.
I think that there's a number of problems. One of the main problems is that the main ally of the Dominican Republic is the United States. We know that the United States has a relationship with Haiti which is quite abusive, it's imperialist, it's actually quite overtly racist. And so it makes it very easy for the Dominican Republic to treat Haitians the way that they are, because they know that the regional hegemon, the main power in the region, is not going to be critical of them. They're going to allow them to do that. It's going to be a green light for them. I think the second thing is that there is a lot of racism. There's what we might call a caste society within the Dominican Republic, with people of a dark complexion, particularly people of Haitian heritage, being at the lowest strata of that society. And therefore, they can often be used as scapegoats by the government in relation to crime, social issues, and so on and so forth. So I think what we're seeing again, in a similar way you see immigrants scapegoated in this country, you're seeing people of Haitian heritage scapegoated in the Dominican Republic again. So again, I think a rolling back of that kind of racist scapegoating would be a really progressive way to deal with the issue of undocumented people at all.
And what I'm trying to say to you, as someone who's also mixed, my mother is from Scotland, my dad is from Jamaica, but I'm also aware that there is what we call a light skin hierarchy. You should be aware of this in the Caribbean. So for example, in the Caribbean,
in America, it's exactly
in the Caribbean,
Colombia, Venezuela.
Right. You used the word earlier. You used the word earlier.
India, China.
You used the word earlier, mulatto. Do you know what this word means? It means mule. Mules cannot reproduce themselves.
Yes.
1 second. So what I'm saying to you is, you've got to have a more mature understanding of what race and racism is if you really want to confront the problem. So if we live in a world where there are a multitude of people, in a country where there's a multitude of ethnicities, right, in London, all these people are Londoners. They live in London pretty much. The wealth and the power in London does it represent these people that live here? London is officially, the minority in London is people who consider themselves white and British. That's the minority, the last census confirmed. The majority of people in London do not identify that way and are not seen that way. But the power and the wealth and the economic control of the nation is all owned by, is all owned by people who not only look similar, they went to the same school and they went to the same university.
Yeah.
Now they would tell you Britain is a democracy and there's no racism. So when you say that to me as a lighter skinned, privileged Dominican working in the government, and dark skinned Dominican Haitians and other people are telling me different, given our own experiences and given the reality of racism, who should we believe? The person in the position of privilege or the person who's the victim? If we ask someone about sexism, who should we believe? Men or women? Men who benefit from sexism, who enact all the violence that we do, say, no, sexism's not a big issue. It's not a big issue for us because we don't have to worry about it. But when women tell us different, should we listen?
I think we are united. We are united because
Okay,
we all
but you literally
look,
just like
no,